Hey everybody, and welcome to this new series I'm starting. And I'm still working on my racing sim, and I still will work on it. But something happened about a week ago that sort of started to get me off my butt regarding the flight stuff I've been working on, which is the vigilante marketplace, where you could previously get all kinds of free assets for such a type of game as that is now shut down. And those assets are no longer available on the Fab store either. So, luckily, at least for now, the ones that are in my library already seem to still be working. And so that sort of kickstarted me to throw together a project and start loading those assets into it so that I'd have them there. And I also wanted to start thinking about what I was actually going to do with them. The previous project, which I think is just called Unreal Third Person, something like that. That playlist was mostly me playing around with the different types of assets and seeing what I could do with them and whatnot. So I think I understand what I want to do now. Which is I want to concentrate more on the flight simulator part of it and not necessarily even just the flight simulator part, but the flight simulator I played the most back in the day, and I haven't played one really in a really long time, but uh, the one I played the most was Falcon 4.0, and the reason why was because it was the most interesting with it had a sort of a real time strategy game going on in real time in the background, and you know you were just sort of part of the conflict. And it was always really interesting to me because it could play out different every time, and you could have your side take different strategies and whatnot. And so I really always wanted to build something like that. Of course, I'd have to scale it down considerably to even come close to doing it myself. But I did want to try to start working on something like that. And I wanted to sort of attempt to heavily lean on uh, ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever at this point. I haven't used that really a ton, but what I have used of it does seem to be getting better and better. So I wanted to sort of lean on that heavily and see how far I could get, as a solo hobby developer who spends, maybe 8 to 10 hours a week total working on something. How far can I get leaning on AI to help me out, and what would I be able to pull off exactly? So um, I'm interested to see what I can do there. And of course, I wanted I always like to sort of record what I'm doing as a record for myself as much as anything. But um, obviously, I share them on YouTube as well. Um, a couple of notes my laptop that I was using is officially dead. And it was a work laptop, so I had a new one shipped to me. Unfortunately, the new one that's shipped to me is terrible. Um, particularly since I'm supposed to be doing AI development myself, and I've got a machine that has a video card from 1990 in it or something. It's awful. So what I did is I've sort of resurrected an old desktop machine that I had, and this has got at least it's got an NVIDIA, I think a 2060 or something like that in it. So it's capable of running Unreal at a decent, at least a halfway decent frame rate, whereas my new laptop is not able to do it at all, really. So I'm using this older laptop, which means I'm on Windows 10 again. Um, and it means because it's a desktop machine with a single video card in it, I only have one screen. So, which makes it a little bit more difficult to record, but hopefully it won't be a problem. So we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and get started on this, and this is just going to be a video where I sort of get everything set up, and maybe I'll get the JSBSim plugin installed. I'm going to handle that differently than I did previously, having spent a bunch of more time playing with it, sort of off camera and uh, thinking about it. I think the approach I took last time, I don't like that, where I was actually modifying the plugin itself. I think that was a terrible idea. And I'm going to try this time to not touch the plugin at all. And to do that, I'm going to basically make the server the authoritative uh, machine. So the simulation will run on the server and input will be sent to the server. Now, there'll probably have to be some sort of predictive algorithm in place so that the client can sort of, won't be so jittery as the input gets sent to the server, and then the server makes the calculations, and then it comes back to the client. I'm assuming there'll be some nasty delay there, and something will have to be done about that. But I'm going to worry about that when I come to it. So for now, I'm going to go ahead. That's not what I want. I'm going to go ahead and create a new project. And as always, I start out with a blank project, C++. And I'm going to call this one Fox. I tend to use animal names as project names, and that's a nice short one because I use it as a prefix for everything. Shorter is better. So I'm going to go ahead and do those settings blank C++, and we'll call it Fox. I'm going to create that, and then I'm going to go take a nap, I guess, while it generates everything. So I'm going to pause the video, of course, and I'll be back as soon as this is done. Okay, so my project's loaded here with the default map. I'm going to go ahead, and one of the problems is this is the first time I've used Unreal since I installed it on this computer, so it generated it opened Visual Studio for me automatically, which I can't remember what the setting is now. It's been so long since I've had to actually modify. There we go, source code editor. I want this to be Writer instead. Or maybe I'll just use Writer U project. That's probably the best thing to use. Visual Studio is actually a lot better than it used to be, but I still prefer Writer, so that's what I'll use here. Let's see, Visual Studio is actually trying to install some stuff because it didn't quite have everything it needed. I'm going to go ahead and open the source code in Writer just to go ahead and take a look at it real quick. I'm going to create a bunch of classes here just to get started, the ones I know I'm going to need, but we'll do that in a minute. So I've got that setting set. While I'm waiting for Writer, I'm going to do a new level and just do basic. You know what? Yeah, basic will be fine. And I'm going to save this. And I'm going to create an app folder just like I do all the time. I have a folder for my stuff to go in and specifically to keep it separate from assets I bring in. So I make an app folder. I'm going to make maps, and we'll call this one test map. This will just be where we test whenever I bring in a new vehicle or anything. We'll use this map as a test for it. And I'm going to go ahead and create another new level. I'm going to do this one as basic as well, but I'll end up deleting the floor a little bit later. I'm going to we'll just call this world map. And I'll probably use Cesium with the Google Maps plugin. It's not perfect. The roads in particular, anytime you should have a bridge, there's no bridge there. Instead, the road just follows the contour of the terrain. And so it's not quite perfect, but um, it'll at least give us a good starting point. So I'm going to open the test map back up and I'm going to come into my project settings, and now we will load the test map in the editor startup and in the game default map. And let's save everything. And now let's open up the Unreal box. Let's open up this U project. And since this is the very first time it's opening, I think Writer is going to take forever to parse all of the source files. So I'm going to pause here until that's done, because Writer doesn't work very well until it's finished. So I'm going to pause and I'll be back once that's finished. Okay, so that's finished. But one thing I want to do real quick is I want to bring in the JSBSim plugin. I'm going to go ahead and do that, get that out of the way. So um, for anyone that doesn't know about the JSBSim plugin, um, it's on GitHub. The JSBSim, the full JSBSim source code is on GitHub under JSBSim team, and it includes a plugin. There's a solution file for it, JSBSim for Unreal solution, and it's in this Unreal Engine folder. So you can, if you want to use it, you have to clone this whole JSBSim repo and then compile the plugin. So I've got that repo downloaded, and I'm gonna open it. Oh, perfect. Yeah, the Visual Studio installer crapped out on me a minute ago. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. So it's probably going to take a while for that installer to run, but luckily I actually ran this earlier, so I'll just sort of talk you through what I did. I don't compile the plugin in Writer because I had an issue I couldn't figure out right away with retargeting the solution to the latest compiler tools and the latest SDK. For some reason, I couldn't get it to retarget properly in Writer, and I didn't feel like messing with it, so I compiled it in Visual Studio instead. Because Visual Studio, when you open the solution, if it just asks you if you want to retarget it, and you just say yes, and it works fine. So um, I opened the JSBSim for Unreal solution and retargeted it and built it. And once you do that, if you take a look at the folder, the JSBSim folder, in the Unreal Engine folder, this plugins folder will have this folder, and before you compile, this folder exists, but it doesn't have everything you need. If you come look at it in the model folder here, actually not the model folder, the third-party JSBSim folder, this lib and include folders are not there, and you need them because that's where the DLL that the plugin uses gets built to. So you have to build the source first. But once you've done that, you can just and I'm going to close Writer before I do this, just in case. You can copy this folder. Copy the folder, and you can paste it into your project. So if I go to Unreal, Fox, create a new folder here called plugins. Whoops. Plugins, and paste folder from GitHub source you downloaded. Paste that in, and then I'm going to reopen the solution. I probably didn't need to close it to begin with, but I just want to be safe. Okay, now I've got the project loading in Writer. If we take a look at Fox under the plugins folder, you can see um, that the JSBSim plugin is showing up under there now. And you can see under my project, there's currently nothing um, except this build file, which is important. So because this JSBSim uh, flight model is a plugin, I need to register it here in my build file so that it gets so that all the includes and whatnot become available to me. So I'm going to add JSBSim right here, and you can see it actually showed up in the IntelliSense, which is nice. That tells me the plugin's probably working correctly. So now that I've got that loaded in there, I'm just going to go ahead and well, it's still loading, so actually I'm going to wait for that to finish up, and then I'll do a quick build just to make sure, it compiles, and then I'll start adding in some of my base classes that I know I'm going to use. So I'll pause for now and wait for Rider to catch up. Okay, Rider's finished loading, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and start creating sort of the general layout and some of the base classes that I know I'm going to use. That's really all I want to get accomplished today, is just to get a bunch of my base classes in, and then I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna lean heavily on uh, AI here because you know the original Falcon 4.0. If you read about the development of it, it took one guy. I think it said the entire summer to, I think it was like a summer internship he was actually on. Uh, it took the entire summer for him to build the dynamic campaign portion of the simulator. So it took one guy 3 months, and that's working, at least 8 hours a day, right? And probably in the gaming industry, it was more like 10 or 12 or even 16. So that's 3 man months of work to build just that piece, that real-time strategy piece that happens sort of behind the scenes. And I don't have that kind of time. I've got, I could maybe spend, if I'm lucky, I get to spend 8 hours a week. So I don't have the luxury of being able to spend 3 man months building just the campaign piece. So I'm gonna have to lean heavily on AI. So what I'm gonna do today is just create the base classes, and then um, I'll start talking to Chat GPT or Copilot or whatever, all maybe many different ones, about how I should go about doing this and seeing if it can generate a bunch of the initial code for me. So for today, let's just go in here and um, I'm going to start adding. I'm going to start adding some. I'll just start by adding a Unreal class, and the first one we'll do will just be the base game mode class. So we'll call it Fox. Yeah, Fox game mode, and we will inherit from the game mode base class, and we will do the public private split on these. As obviously I'm going to end up with a lot of classes here, so might as well keep the header and C++ files separate. So these core gameplay classes, I'll tend to put them in a folder called core. So that's where I'll put this one. So game mode, inherit from game mode base, put it in the core folder, and do the public private split. Yeah, public. That's not what I want. all kinds of screwed up. Public core Fox game mode, private core Fox game mode. That's what I want right there. So I'm gonna hit OK, let that generate. And I really should just come at these templates because I hate the comments that it puts in them. They're effectively useless because they say the same exact thing for every class, and they're so basic that quite frankly, all they do is take up space. So I love commenting and documenting the code through comments, but the comments that come here by default are terrible. So that's the first thing I'll do is get. I'll leave this one about the copyright notice because I may put something there eventually, right? But for now, I'm going to get rid of this. It's pointless, and this one's fine. I want to get rid of that extra blank space. So we got game mode, and we're gonna do game instance. Go game instance, public, private. Good. Okay, we got game mode, we got game instance, and note that I may break these out later if I end up with a ton of different types of game modes and game instance. I'll probably create separate folders and refactor them into folders at some point. But for now, this is totally fine. I'm going to create a player controller, and that's going to go in a folder called controllers. Box player controller, and right there's player controller we're going to inherit from, and that looks good. Hit OK on that. Okay, we got game mode, game instance, player controller, which did not go. I forgot to put the folder name on that one, so let me delete that and try again. Box player controller, public, and this I go in slash controllers. There we go. So eventually, right, there'll be AI controllers for all the different types of vehicles and stuff, but for now, we just need one player controller, and that'll be it. Let me think for a moment if I have any more base classes I want to go ahead and create right now. Thinking, and I don't think there are any other base classes I want for the moment. I don't have, characters or any, obviously, any vehicles yet or anything. I don't want any yet. So I think those are the base classes that I want to create for the moment. And I'm going to go ahead and see if I can compile this just to make sure the plugin is in there correctly and everything works. So I'll go ahead and compile now. It's going to complain at me that I've got live coding running, so I can't decide if I want to turn that off or not. But I'll let this run for the moment. Actually, you can tell that it's including the JSBSim source in there because of this log entry. So we know that it sees the plugin and it is compiling it, so that's good. like I thought. It doesn't want me to do, it doesn't want me to compile that way because live coding is active. So I'll just hit Control Alt F11. Live coding will pop up, and that should compile it. Really, since I just added a plugin and a bunch of classes, I should probably actually shut down the editor and do a full build. But really, because all I care about right now is whether or not it even actually gets through without failing. I'm not really worried about it at the moment, so I'm gonna let that finish. I'll pause and come back. Okay, so it compiled successfully, so I feel pretty good, and you can see that it didn't actually compile the plugin because it didn't see any changes, but um, the fact that it even went through it there tells me we're probably good. Actually, you can see a couple of the classes compiled up here. So I think the JSBSim module's loaded correctly. So I do think I'm going to go ahead and get the Cesium plugin installed because that is probably what I will use to give myself some terrain, at least initially. So I'm going to come into the launcher. I've already actually looked for the plugin. I'm going to go ahead and install it. And once it's installed, I'll be able to add it in the editor. May have to restart the editor. I'm not sure. We'll see. So I'll let that download and come back to it once it's finished. Okay, so the plugin's finished installing, and I've rebooted the editor. So I'm going to come in here and see. What am I doing? Plugins, CDM. And I'm going to go ahead and enable that plugin and restart. Um, I'm not going to set up the world map with the Cesium plugin yet because I believe I need a security key in order to do so, and I do not remember what my security key is. So I'm gonna have to log in and take care of that. So that I'll take care of later. But I think for now this is where I'm gonna stop. So I've got the initial project set up, got the JSBSim plugin in, the downloaded a fresh copy of it from GitHub and got it in, got the Cesium plugin going. I think that's where I'm going to stop for the moment, and I'll work out my Cesium account, and uh, probably next time I'll see if I can get Cesium. I'll go ahead and get Cesium set up, and maybe the Google Maps tiles as well, which is another security key that I'll need that I'll have to log in and see if I can find it. Anyway, I'll be back before too long with the follow-on video. So. I think that's it for now. So until next time, take care.